Hey yo, what is poppin'? It's your boy Whiteout, and today we are talking about the unknown. Or is it known now? That's right. Today we are talking about how to terraform Mars, and it looks like it's gonna be with lasers. That's right. That is exactly the name of this video. I'm not gonna repeat it this time, but it's time to lock in, and it's time to get 1% smarter. Let's go.
Mars is a disappointing hellhole lacking practically everything we need to stay alive. It looks like we'll only ever have small crews spend a miserable time hidden underground.
Valid Mr. Beast
Except
challenge.
we could terraform it into a green new world. But to solve the planet's problems, we first need to make it worse and turn it into oceans of lava with gigantic lasers. This isn't
That's
a
a little
far-fetched
extra.
science fiction tale. Terraforming Mars is possible on the kind of timescale our ancestors built great monuments in. If humanity solves some of its pressing problems and ventures into space to expand into the solar system, this may not be that far off. Okay, so how do we terraform Mars quickly? Well, it's complicated.
Okay. So it seems like it's doable, but at the same time seems like it could be a little sketchy.
Mars is dry and has no soil to grow anything.
Yeah.
Its atmosphere is too thin to breathe or protect us from radiation, giving you a high risk of cancer. So to turn it into a new home
There's a
for
little
humanity, we have to give it a proper atmosphere similar to Earth's. It should be made of 21% oxygen, 79% nitrogen, and a tiny bit of CO2 at an average temperature of 14 degrees Celsius and under 1 bar of pressure.
That's a lot of quotas to make one planet hit. Just throwing it out there.
We have to create oceans and rivers,
Gotta be
and then
6
the
foot
ground
tall.
has to be weathered into fertile soil to host living things. Then we need to install a biosphere on the surface and prevent it all from being undone by installing protective measures that can stand the test of time. It is difficult, but a
What was
big
that?
laser makes it a lot easier. Challenge 1: the atmosphere. Some 4 billion years ago, Mars had a nice oxygen-rich atmosphere and was home to vast oceans and rivers.
How do we know that? Like, how do we know that 4 billion years ago that was a thing? I just don't understand. How do we know that? Like, prove it.
It held onto it for several 100 million years before it got blown away. Ultraviolet rays broke down the atmospheric gases and then the oceans until they were swept away by solar wind. Today, Mars is a dry, barren wasteland. Luckily, a sizable portion of the water is frozen in deep reservoirs and in the polar ice caps, enough to create a very shallow ocean. And enormous amounts of oxygen are bound as minerals in the Martian rocks, like the oxygen in the iron oxides that give the planet its rust-red color, as well as carbon dioxide in carbonates. To free these gases, we need to reverse the reactions that lock them away by using thermolysis, which occurs at temperatures as high as on the surface of the Sun. In short, we want to melt the surface of Mars.
So how long would something like this take? We're probably looking at a few million years of melting Mars for it to come back and actually be habitable, right? Like, I have to be a few million, if not billions of years. Are we even going to be around that long?
The best way to do that would be to put lasers in orbit, aiming their beams down on Mars. The most powerful laser today is the Eli NP, able to produce beams of 10 petawatts of power for a trillionth of a second. To melt Mars, we need a laser twice as powerful that runs continuously. The easiest way is to use a solar-pumped laser that can be powered directly with sunlight. At its core are metal-infused glass rods that absorb energy and release it as a laser beam. If we build an array of mirrors in space about 11 times the size of the United States, we can focus enough sunlight onto them to melt Mars. Let's do it.
Imagine that. Just a bunch of mirrors reflecting the sunlight, hitting a laser, terraforming Mars.
As the lasers hit the surface,
insane.
about 750 kilograms of oxygen and some carbon dioxide emerge from every cubic meter of rock melted. If we are efficient, our lasers only need to melt through the top 8 meters of the surface to get enough oxygen. It would look terrifying. The skies would be shrouded in storms, while the ground would glow red-hot, crisscrossed by currents of lava.
That would be
Tireless laser
wild.
beams sweep over the landscape, leaving trails too bright to look at. After they pass, the ground cools quickly. A strange snow falls, the ashes from all the elements that solidify as they cool down, like silicon and iron.
So could that have happened to the Earth? I mean, could it have?
Mars is still a
From
cold
somebody that
planet
lived
at
on
this
Mars?
point. A happy side effect of this inferno is that all the water in the polar ice caps and even deep underground rises into the sky as hot steam, forming clouds that rain down over the entire planet. They would wash out the nastier gases from the atmosphere like chlorine and carry away harmful elements that accumulated on the surface. In the end, they would form shallow oceans, saltier than on Earth. We might need to do an extra cleanup afterwards. It would take about 50 years of continuous lasering to create our oxygen atmosphere.
50
We could use
years?
this opportunity to dig deeper in some places to create the basins for salty oceans or rivers and spare some landmark features like Olympus Mons and Valles Marineris.
That's not
We're
long at
not
all.
done though. The resulting atmosphere is nearly 100% oxygen and only 0.2 bar. It's hard to breathe and very flammable. To make it similar to Earth and a lot safer, we need to add a lot of nitrogen, which Mars is sadly lacking. We have to import it. The ideal source is Titan, a large moon of Saturn, covered in a thick
Okay.
atmosphere that's almost entirely nitrogen.
So now we're
We
pulling
just have to move
planets.
3,000 trillion tons from the outer solar system to Mars. While that's not easy, it is doable. To
I mean,
process that
yeah,
much of
it's
Titan's
doable,
atmosphere,
but
we have to
what?
construct giant automated factories on its surface powered by our lasers to suck in the atmosphere and compress it into a liquid.
How are we sucking in an atmosphere of another planet when we can't even go back to the moon? You're over here saying it's doable. I'd like to see those tapes, huh? Because they obviously overwritten them. They overwritten the moon tapes, the most historical thing to ever happen, and they just overwrited it. Oh, sorry, we taped over it. My bad. And we lost all the technology. BS-ery. And now you're telling me we're going to suck nitrogen from another planet a few billion light years away? Okay, not a billion. I don't know how long it is. But that far away, we're going to sit there and we're going to suck nitrogen out of? Nuh-uh, honey. Nuh-uh.
This gets pumped
Don't
into
believe it.
bullet-shaped tanks, which a mass driver shoots all the way to the red planet, where they explode and mix with the oxygen. We've already been able to send individual missions to Saturn in just a few years. With enough resources, it should be possible to complete the task within 2 generations. Of course, it would be much more convenient to have nitrogen left over from terraforming Venus on the side.
When did we terraform Venus? Hold up, I think we skipped a whole terraforming. So we're supposed to terraform Venus before we terraform Mars? Because we haven't done... Yo, life kind of like a video game if you think about it. Imagine we terraform every single planet and each planet is a bunch of different things. Oh my god, that would be wild. Holy crap, it could be like a video game. If we actually could terraform all these planets, whoa.
Explains this in detail in another video. So,
we're gonna have to
about a
watch that one,
century
huh?
after the start of the terraforming
Wasn't
process,
sure- I
we
didn't know
have a
there was a part
breathable
one.
atmosphere that has the right gases. If the liberated
Okay.
CO2 isn't enough to warm it up to temperatures we can stand, we just add some super greenhouse gases. Mars at this point resembles a black marble from all the cooling lava, spotted with growing oceans and red patches where the old surface remains untouched. It's still a wasteland, no better than a desert on Earth. We need to fill it with life. Challenge 2, Biosphere.
Ooh, the
Installing
biosphere.
a
I was wondering
biosphere
about
on a
this.
new planet is very difficult. Unexpected interactions between species or sudden diseases can destabilize it to the point of collapse. We would probably begin by seeding our young oceans with phytoplankton. Without competition, it would bloom rapidly, filling up the oceans to become the bottom of an aquatic food chain. They can be followed by tiny zooplankton, then by fish, maybe even sharks and whales. If things go well, life in the oceans will thrive. Life on land is harder. Plants need nutrient-filled ground to sink their roots into, but most of the surface is the congealed remains of lava and ash. We could wait for thousands of years for water and wind to grind it down into finer sands, or try to do it manually. But we want to be quick,
lot of work.
and we have a big laser. Turning the beam on and off in rapid succession would cause the ground to quickly heat up and contract, which breaks it into smaller and smaller pieces. Add a bit of water and you get a sort of dark mud. Into this mud, we can mix fungi and nitrogen-fixing bacteria. They're able to absorb nitrogen and convert it into nitrate compounds to feed plants. The first plants we want to bring are native to volcanic islands on Earth, since they're perfectly suited to the laser-blasted Martian landscape.
I guess that makes
Eventually,
sense.
the enriched mud becomes the foundation for grasslands and forests. In Mars's lower gravity, trees can become very tall very fast. Their roots gather the nutrients they need and then dig deeper to turn more rocks into soil, forming a self-sustaining ecosystem.
Damn, trees are that strong? They be breaking rocks? I guess that is true. Actually, I never thought about that. Wow, trees are strong.
At this point, we can slowly introduce more plant varieties, insects, and animals. Not mosquitoes, though.
What?
The new biosphere needs to be maintained to prevent it from falling out of balance. If plants grow too quickly and absorb too much carbon dioxide, the planet cools down too much. If key species die out, we could see populations collapse faster than they could recover. On Earth, other species would move in to fill the void, but our Martian biosphere is not as flexible. It takes hundreds, if not thousands of years before Mars becomes a stable environment. But eventually, the planet will have the potential.
Hundreds of thousands of years. Like, nobody's going to be around by then. Also, though, if you think about it, like, this happened on Earth, which is insane to think about.
Potential to sustain large human colonies. With air, water, and food available, we can finally call Mars, black, blue, and green, our home.
Those
A
are
giant
big spaceships.
volcanic island in space. Will it last, though? Challenge 3, the long-term future.
Okay.
There is a problem we haven't addressed. Mars's core does not produce a magnetic field, so it doesn't have enough protection from solar radiation or cosmic rays.
Yeah, I was
This
thinking about
becomes
that. The solar
dangerous for the
radiation.
long-term health of Martian populations. So, as a final step, we need an artificial magnetic field.
Yeah.
It
I've
doesn't
been working on something recently for that, but it's more on the lines of like, you know, you got to think about radiation and such.
have to be huge like Earth's. It just needs to deflect the solar wind enough so that it doesn't touch Mars. The easiest way is to construct a magnetic umbrella far ahead of Mars that splashes the solar wind to the sides. A big superconducting ring powered by nuclear facilities is all it takes.
Really?
It
That's
would
all it
orbit
takes?
at the Mars-Sun L1 point, keeping it constantly in between the Sun and Mars and protect the new atmosphere. And that's it. Terraforming Mars would take some work, hefty resources, and probably a century or 10, but it would be the first time we've lived in a home designed and shaped solely by us and for us. A first step towards our future among the stars. Well,
It is pretty insane to think about how, like, you know, it actually could be done, you know? And, like, I'll work on it and stuff, but I don't know. It'll be like a side hobby on the side. But it's just, like, it's crazy to think that, like, that happened here. I mean, to an extent, right? Not to the same. It was more of an asteroid hitting and, like, killing all life, and there was some that made it through. But it's like, you could actually inhabit other planets. Like, it's such a video game thought process. But anyways, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure you absolutely smash that like button. Honestly, it's pretty cringy if you haven't. I mean, I'm not upset at you, but like, you want me to terraform Mars or not? I mean, it's pretty simple. If you do, hit that subscribe button, because if you haven't, what are you doing, bro? Just subscribe, join the Whiteout Army. Thank you guys so much for watching, though, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.